It was a crisp autumn morning in the Cascade Mountains of Washington state when young Emily Thompson, just 12 years old with her wild curly hair and a backpack stuffed with trail mix and adventure books, set out on what was supposed to be a simple weekend camping trip with her Uncle John. John was her mother's older brother, a rugged outdoorsman in his late 40s who had spent his life exploring the dense forests and jagged peaks of the Pacific Northwest, always regaling the family with tales of hidden waterfalls and elusive wildlife. Emily adored him. He was the father figure she never had since her dad passed away when she was a toddler, and this trip was meant to be their special bonding time, away from the bustling suburbs of Seattle where Emily lived with her mom in a modest apartment filled with the scent of fresh-baked cookies and the sound of traffic outside. They had planned it meticulously, packing tents, sleeping bags, a portable stove, and even a small telescope for stargazing under the clear mountain skies. As they drove up the winding roads of Highway 20, the evergreens towered like ancient guardians, their branches whispering secrets in the wind. Emily chattered excitedly about spotting a bear or finding a secret cave, while John laughed, his deep voice echoing in the old pickup truck, promising her they'd make s'mores by the fire and tell ghost stories until dawn. They arrived at their campsite near Diablo Lake, a stunning turquoise body of water nestled between steep cliffs, just as the sun began dipping behind the peaks, casting long shadows that danced across the water like playful spirits. Setting up camp was a ritual they both enjoyed, pitching the tent with practiced ease, gathering firewood from the underbrush, and starting a crackling fire that filled the air with a smoky aroma of pine. That first night, they roasted marshmallows, and John shared stories from his youth about hiking the Pacific Crest Trail and once getting lost for a day, but finding his way back by following a river. Emily listened wide-eyed, her imagination running wild, dreaming of her own adventures. As the stars emerged, twinkling like diamonds scattered across a black velvet sky, they crawled into their sleeping bags, the sounds of owls hooting and leaves rustling lulling them to sleep. But the next morning something fell off. Emily woke to find Uncle John already up, brewing coffee over the fire, but there was a tension in his posture, his eyes scanning the tree-line as if sensing an unseen presence. They decided to hike a nearby trail leading to a viewpoint overlooking the Cascades, a path John knew well from previous trips. The trail was moderate, winding through fern-covered floors and past bubbling streams, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. Emily skipped ahead, her sneakers crunching on fallen leaves, pointing out squirrels scampering up trees and birds flitting between branches. John followed, his backpack heavy with water and snacks, occasionally calling out warnings about slippery rocks or steep drops. About 2 hours in, they veered off the main path onto a less traveled route that John said led to a hidden meadow, a place he claimed was magical, where deer grazed undisturbed and wild berries grew in abundance. Emily was thrilled, her heart pounding with excitement as they pushed through thicker undergrowth, thorns snagging at their clothes. The forest grew denser, the canopy blocking out more sunlight, turning the world into a green-tinted labyrinth. Suddenly, a fog rolled in, unusual for midday, swirling around their ankles like ghostly fingers. John paused, checking his compass, but it spun erratically, refusing to settle on north. Strange, he muttered, but assured Emily it was just a passing weather quirk. They pressed on, but the path seemed to shift, trees appearing where none had been before, and the distant roar of a waterfall grew louder, then fainter, disorienting them. Emily started to feel a chill, not from the air, but from a growing unease, clutching John's hand tighter. He tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but his voice lacked its usual warmth. Hours passed, and they realized they were lost, the sun now hidden behind clouds, casting the woods in an eerie twilight. Panic set in slowly, first as confusion, then as fear. They called out, but their voices echoed back mockingly. John fired a flare from his pack, a bright red streak piercing the sky, but no rescue came. Night fell quickly, forcing them to huddle together under a rocky overhang, sharing body heat and whispering reassurances. Emily cried softly, missing her mom, while John promised they'd find their way at first light. But morning brought no relief. The fog thickened, and strange sounds emerged, whispers that weren't the wind, shadows that moved independently of the light. They wandered, marking trees with John's knife, but the marks vanished as if the forest was alive and erasing their traces. Days blurred into a nightmare of hunger, thirst, and exhaustion. Emily's feet blistered, her energy waning, but John's determination kept them going, scavenging berries and stream water, avoiding what looked like poisonous plants. They stumbled upon an old cave, its mouth yawning like a dark maw, and decided to shelter inside, hoping it led to an exit or at least protection from the elements. Inside, the walls glistened with moisture, and ancient drawings adorned the stone. Figures of people and animals, perhaps Native American petroglyphs, telling stories of spirits and lost souls. As they delved deeper, a low hum vibrated through the rock, and Emily swore she saw glowing eyes in the darkness. John dismissed it as fatigue, but deep down, he felt it too, a pull, as if the mountain was claiming them. Then, in a chamber lit by bioluminescent fungi, they found a crack in the wall emitting warm air, and squeezing through, the world shifted. Colors inverted, sounds reversed, and they emerged not in the Cascades they knew, but a parallel realm where time flowed differently, trees twisted in impossible shapes, and the sky shimmered with auroras even in daylight. Here, they weren't alone. Ethereal beings watched from afar, guardians of this hidden dimension, who explained in hushed tones that the Cascades held portals, rifts opened by ancient seismic activity, and they had stumbled into one. The beings, calling themselves the Echoes, were once humans lost like them, now timeless wanderers. Emily and John adapted, learning to survive in this strange world, foraging for glowing fruits and navigating floating rivers. Years passed in what felt like months, time dilated, 5 years in the real world equating to mere seasons here. Emily grew taller, wiser, her innocence tempered by wonder, while John aged gracefully, his beard graying but his spirit unbroken. They built a life, crafting homes from vine-woven branches, befriending the echoes who taught them secrets of the universe, like how stars sang and mountains dreamed. But they never forgot home, longing for Emily's mom, for normalcy. Back in the real world, search parties scoured the mountains for weeks, helicopters buzzing overhead, volunteers combing trails, but no trace was found, no tent, no backpack, just vanished into thin air. Emily's mother, Sarah, heartbroken, held vigils, plastered posters, and clung to hope, but as years ticked by, the case grew cold, filed under unsolved mysteries. The Cascades, beautiful yet unforgiving, claimed many, but this disappearance haunted the locals, whispers of curses and Bigfoot circulating in bars and online forums. Then, 5 years to the day, base jumper Alex Rivera, an adrenaline junkie from Portland with a GoPro strapped to his helmet, prepared for a daring leap off a cliff near where Emily and John had camped. Alex was known for his viral videos, capturing breathtaking views of plummeting through mist-shrouded valleys. As he jumped, wingsuit deploying with a whoosh, soaring over treetops and canyons, his camera rolled, heart racing with a thrill. Midway through the descent, he veered close to a sheer rock face, and there, in a hidden crevice camouflaged by vines, his lens caught a flicker, an anomaly. Rewinding later in his editing software, Alex froze the frame. 2 figures, a young woman and an older man, standing at the mouth of a cave, waving frantically, their clothes tattered but faces alive with desperation. It was Emily, now 17, and Uncle John, looking remarkably preserved. The footage went viral, sparking renewed interest, experts debating if it was a hoax or a mirage, but Sarah recognized them instantly, her hope reignited. Authorities reopened the case, drones and climbers swarming the area, but the crevice led nowhere, just solid rock. Yet, in the parallel realm, Emily and John had sensed the jumper, the thin veil between worlds parting momentarily, allowing a glimpse. The echoes warned that crossing back was risky, time might have warped them irreversibly, but the pull of family was stronger. They prepared a ritual, aligning crystals under a double moon, to reopen the portal. As the base jumpers video spread, conspiracy theorists flocked, some claiming interdimensional travel, others aliens. Alex, thrust into fame, joined the search, his cam ready for more. Little did he know, the story was just beginning. The Cascades holding secrets deeper than any jump. Word count, approximately 1,200 note. This is a condensed version for demonstration. In full, it would expand on descriptions, dialogues, subplots, and character backstories to reach 4,000 words. Let me know when you're ready for the next paragraph. In the strange, shimmering realm where Emily and Uncle John found themselves, time was a fluid concept, bending and stretching like the iridescent rivers that flowed upward into the sky. The landscape was both alien and familiar, a warped mirror of the Cascades they'd left behind, where trees pulsed with a faint bioluminescent glow, and the air carried a sweet, metallic tang, like ozone after a storm. Emily, now a lanky 17-year-old with her curly hair tied back in a practical braid, had grown adept at navigating this world, her once childish enthusiasm replaced by a quiet resilience forged through years of survival. She and John had built a makeshift home in a grove of towering, crystalline trees, their branches humming softly when touched, as if singing ancient lullabies. The echoes, the ethereal beings who guided them, were neither fully human nor spirit, their forms flickering like candlelight, with eyes that held centuries of sorrow and wisdom. They taught Emily and John how to harness the realm's resources. Fruits that glowed like embers sustained them, their juice tart but nourishing, while streams of liquid light provided water that seemed to sharpen their senses. John, his rugged face now etched with lines but his spirit unyielding, spent hours carving tools from the strange, pliable stone of this world, crafting spears and bowls with the precision of a man who refused to surrender to despair. Together, they learned the rhythms of this place, days that lasted weeks, nights where twin moons cast kaleidoscopic shadows, and seasons that shifted without warning, turning forests into fields of blooming crystal overnight. The echoes shared fragments of their history, revealing that this realm was a pocket dimension, a fracture in reality created millennia ago by a cataclysmic event, perhaps a meteor strike or a volcanic upheaval, that tore the fabric of the Cascades' geography. Those who stumbled through its portals, like Emily and John, became part of its tapestry, unable to leave unless the stars aligned, quite literally, in a rare cosmic event the echoes called the Convergence. Their life, though strange, was not without purpose. Emily took to sketching the realm's flora and fauna in a notebook made from woven plant fibers, her drawings capturing creatures that defied logic, birds with wings of mist, deer with antlers that sparked like lightning. She named them after her favorite book characters, a way to cling to memories of home. John, meanwhile, became obsessed with understanding the portal that had trapped them, interrogating the echoes about its mechanics. They spoke in riddles, explaining that the portal was tied to the mountain's heart, a nexus of energy deep within the cave where they'd first crossed over. To return, they'd need to perform a ritual during the convergence, using crystals that grew in the realm's deepest caverns, which resonated with the same frequency as the rift. The catch was the cost. Crossing back could unravel their bodies, aging them rapidly to match the 5 years lost in the real world, or worse, strand them in limbo. Emily, though scared, felt a fierce determination to see her mother again, her memory of Sarah's warm hugs and soft voice a beacon in her heart. John, however, wrestled with guilt, blaming himself for leading Emily into this fate, his protective instincts now warring with the risks of the journey back. They spent months preparing, guided by an echo named Lyrian, a woman whose form shimmered like moonlight on water, who had once been a 19th century trapper lost in the same mountains. Lyrian taught them to attune their minds to the crystal's hum, a meditative practice that felt like listening to the universe's heartbeat. They trekked through glowing jungles and across floating islands, collecting the rarest crystals, each one pulsing with a warmth that felt alive. Along the way, they faced dangers, shadowy predators that moved like smoke, sudden quakes that reshaped the terrain, and moments when the realm seemed to reject their presence, warping gravity to pin them in place. Emily's courage grew, her once timid voice now firm as she navigated these trials, while John's steady hand kept them grounded, his old hiking skills adapting to this new world's challenges. Back in the real world, the viral footage from Alex Rivera's GoPro had turned the Cascades into a media circus. News vans clogged the roads near Diablo Lake, reporters speculating wildly about the ghosts in the video, while conspiracy theorists on X posted threads about government cover-ups and alien abductions. Sarah Thompson, Emily's mother, was thrust into the spotlight, her grief raw and public as she pleaded for answers on morning talk shows, her hazel eyes red-rimmed but fierce with hope. Alex, the base jumper, became an unlikely hero, his rugged charm and earnest demeanor winning over skeptics. He joined the renewed search efforts, guiding rangers to the cliff where his camera had caught the glimpse of Emily and John. But the crevice was a dead end. Geologists swore it was just a shallow crack. No cave, no passage, just rock. Alex, undeterred, pored over his footage, noticing details others missed. The way the vines around the crevice seemed to pulse faintly, the air shimmering like a heat wave. He posted his findings online, sparking debates among amateur sleuths and scientists alike. Some claimed it was a mirage caused by atmospheric conditions. Others whispered of Native American legends about the Cascades being a thin place where worlds touched. Sarah, clinging to every lead, met with Alex, poring over maps and old journals from John's hiking days, searching for clues. She remembered John's stories of a hidden meadow, a place he'd found as a young man, and wondered if it held the key. Meanwhile, the forest itself seemed to resist the search. Drones malfunctioned, compasses spun wildly, and rangers reported eerie whispers in the fog, echoes of voices that weren't there. The public's fascination grew, with hashtags like #CascadesMystery trending, and a documentary crew began filming, interviewing locals who spoke of missing hikers never found, of lights in the mountains that moved without source. Sarah, though exhausted, felt a spark of her old strength, the kind that had carried her through single motherhood, now fueled by the possibility that her daughter was alive. In the other realm, Emily and John neared the end of their preparations, their bond deeper than ever, forged in the crucible of this strange world. The convergence was approaching, a rare alignment of the twin moons and a comet that streaked across the aurora-lit sky every few centuries. Lyrian warned that the portal would open only briefly, and they'd need to act swiftly. Emily, clutching a satchel of crystals, felt a mix of fear and excitement, her mind racing with thoughts of her mother's face. John, ever the protector, carried a makeshift staff, ready to face whatever lay on the other side. They returned to the cave where it all began, its walls now pulsing with energy, the petroglyphs glowing as if alive. The ritual began under Lyrian's guidance, placing crystals in a precise pattern, their hum building to a crescendo that shook the air. Emily chanted the words Lyrian taught her, a blend of ancient tongues and cosmic frequencies, while John anchored her, his hand on her shoulder. The portal flickered to life, a tear in reality showing glimpses of the Cascades, green pines, blue skies, the real world. But something was wrong. The portal wavered, and shadowy figures appeared on the other side. Not rescuers, but echoes of their own fears, manifestations of doubt that threatened to pull them apart. Emily's resolve wavered, memories of her mother clashing with the life she'd built here. John, sensing her hesitation, shared a story of his own childhood, of losing his way but finding home by trusting his heart. It was enough. They stepped forward, hand in hand, into the blinding light, unsure if they'd emerge as themselves or as ghosts of time. Back in the Cascades, Alex and Sarah stood at the cliff, a sudden tremor shaking the ground, the vines parting to reveal a glowing crack where none had been before. The world held its breath, the mystery on the cusp of unraveling. As the portal's light engulfed Emily and Uncle John, a whirlwind of sensations assaulted them, colors swirling in impossible patterns, sounds echoing backward, and a pull that felt like being stretched across infinity. They emerged tumbling onto the mossy forest floor of the real Cascades, the air crisp and familiar, heavy with the scent of pine and earth, no longer tinged with the metallic ozone of the other realm. Emily gasped, her body convulsing as time caught up, her 17-year-old frame aching as if she'd run a marathon, while John groaned, his joints protesting the sudden shift. The crevice behind them sealed with a faint pop, vines reclaiming the rock face, as if nothing had happened. Disoriented but alive, they staggered to their feet, Emily's tattered clothes hanging loosely, John's beard longer, but his eyes sharp with relief. The sun filtered through the canopy, birds chirping in confusion at the intruders, and in the distance, they heard voices, human voices, calling out in search patterns. It was Alex and Sarah, along with a team of rangers, who had felt the tremor and seen the glow. Sarah's scream pierced the air as she spotted them, rushing forward with tears streaming, enveloping Emily in a hug that bridged 5 years of agony. "My baby," she sobbed, holding Emily at arm's length, marveling at how she'd grown, her little girl now a young woman with stories etched in her gaze. John stood back, a mix of joy and sorrow on his face, as rangers wrapped them in blankets and offered water, their radios crackling with reports of the miraculous find. Alex, camera still rolling, captured the reunion, his own eyes misty, the adrenaline of the jump paling in comparison to this moment. The group made their way down the trail, Emily leaning on her mother, recounting fragments of their ordeal, the fog, the cave, the other world, words tumbling out in a rush, met with incredulous stares, but unwavering belief from Sarah. Paramedics waited at the trailhead, checking vitals, noting how remarkably healthy they were despite the years, attributing it to luck or miracle, unaware of the realm's sustaining properties. News spread like wildfire, helicopters hovering overhead, reporters swarming the hospital where Emily and John were taken for observation. Doctors puzzled over their condition. Emily's growth matched 5 years, but no signs of malnutrition. John's age spots faded, as if time had been kind. Psychologists gently probed their story, dismissing the parallel realm as hallucination from exposure, but Emily and John knew the truth, sharing knowing glances across the room. The world outside buzzed with the revelation. Social media exploded. #Cascades return trending globally, memes mixing joy with skepticism, some claiming it a hoax orchestrated for views. Alex's footage of the reunion went mega viral, his follower count skyrocketing as he appeared on podcasts, detailing the eerie coincidences, the video capture, the tremor, the perfect timing. Conspiracy forums dissected every frame, pointing to anomalies like faint glows around Emily and John, fueling theories of government experiments or extraterrestrial involvement. Sarah, protective as ever, shielded Emily from the glare, but the young woman, shaped by her experiences, faced interviews with poise, describing the echoes and the realm's wonders without embellishment, letting listeners decide. John, quieter, focused on reintegrating, reconnecting with old friends who thought him dead, toasting lost time over beers in Seattle bars. But readjustment wasn't easy. The real world felt flat, colors muted compared to the vibrant other realm, sounds harsh without the hum of crystals. Emily suffered nightmares of being pulled back, waking in sweats, while John dealt with insomnia, staring at maps of the Cascades, tempted to return. Therapy helped, framing their experience as trauma, but they confided only in each other about the longing for that magical place. Emily enrolled in community college, studying environmental science, her sketches of otherworldly creatures inspiring her professors, who encouraged her to write a book. John returned to guiding hikes, but avoided the area near Diablo Lake, warning clients of the mountain's mysteries with a wink that held truth. As months passed, subtle changes emerged. Emily could sense weather shifts before they happened, her intuition sharpened by the realm. John healed faster from cuts, his body retaining echoes of the other side's energy. They kept these secrets close, fearing exploitation. Meanwhile, scientists descended on the site, drilling and scanning, finding unusual magnetic anomalies but no portal, dismissing the story as folklore reborn. Yet, the Cascades weren't done with them. One foggy morning, 6 months after their return, Emily woke to a humming in her chest, like the crystal song. She rushed to John's house, finding him packing a backpack, eyes distant. "It's calling," he said, and she nodded, feeling it too, a pull toward the mountains, as if the realm needed them back. Sarah, sensing their unrest, joined them on a closure trip, driving the familiar highway, the lake's turquoise waters evoking memories. At the cliff, vines parted unnaturally, revealing the crevice, once more, a faint glow emanating. Alex, now a close friend, tagged along with his gear, documenting cautiously. As they approached, Lyrian's voice whispered on the wind, warning of an imbalance. The convergence had weakened the veil, allowing bleed-through, strange creatures slipping into the real world, causing unexplained phenomena like glowing deer sightings and compasses failing across the range. The echoes needed help to seal rifts from the inside, or risk both worlds collapsing. Emily, torn between homes, chose to go, her growth demanding she protect what she'd known. John agreed, his adventurer's heart ignited. Sarah, heartbroken but understanding, hugged them fiercely, promising to wait. Alex captured the farewell, vowing to guard their secret. Stepping through, the portal swallowed them again, but this time with purpose, emerging into a realm in chaos, twisted storms raging, echoes fading. They rallied, using their knowledge, Emily leading with her sketches turned strategies, John building defenses from crystal tools. Battles ensued against shadow entities born of the imbalance, their bonds tested but unbreakable. Victories came slowly, stabilizing the realm, but at a cost. Time dilation meant years there were days here. Back home, Sarah and Alex monitored the site, noticing anomalies cease, hope flickering that they'd return soon. In the realm, Emily blossomed into a leader, her human perspective bridging gaps among echoes, forging alliances with other lost souls. John found peace and purpose, mentoring newcomers who stumbled through rifts. They sealed the major tiers, the realm healing, its beauty restored. But homesickness lingered. During a quiet moment under twin moons, they performed a reverse ritual, stepping back to the Cascades, emerging to find only weeks had passed. Sarah's joy was boundless, the family reunited, stronger. Alex's discreet footage became a private archive, the world none the wiser to the full truth. Emily pursued her studies with renewed vigor, advocating for wilderness preservation, knowing the mountain's secrets. John wrote a memoir, veiled as fiction, inspiring wanderers. The Cascades stood sentinel, their mysteries intact, a reminder that some vanishings hold wonders beyond imagination. And occasionally, on foggy nights, Emily heard the hum, a gentle reminder of the other side. But now, she was home. With the veil between worlds mended and their journeys back and forth becoming a bridge rather than a barrier, Emily and Uncle John settled into a dual existence that blended the ordinary with the extraordinary, their lives forever intertwined with the secrets of the Cascades. Emily, now pursuing a degree in quantum physics at the University of Washington, delved into theories that echoed her experiences: parallel universes, quantum entanglement, and dimensional folds, her professors praising her innovative ideas without knowing they stemmed from lived reality. She balanced classes with discreet visits to the realm, using a small crystal pendant from Lyrian as a key to open temporary portals, allowing her to consult with the echoes on stabilizing anomalies that occasionally rippled into the real world, like unexplained fog banks that disoriented hikers or glowing orbs sighted by campers. These trips were brief, often just hours that felt like days, where she collaborated with ethereal allies to reinforce the nexus points, her scientific mind merging with the realm's mystical energies to devise solutions, such as aligning crystal arrays to dampen seismic echoes that threatened to widen rifts. Back home, she confided in Sarah, their bond unbreakable, mother and daughter sharing late-night talks over tea, Sarah's initial fear evolving into quiet support, even accompanying Emily on safer excursions to the mountain trails, where she'd wait at the crevice, a thermos of coffee in hand, guarding the entrance like a sentinel. John, embracing his role as a guardian, established a nonprofit dedicated to wilderness preservation and education, leading workshops on sustainable hiking and sharing veiled tales of the mountain's hidden dangers to deter reckless explorers from stumbling into portals. His memoir, published under a pseudonym, became a bestseller in adventure circles, its fictional elements sparking debates online, with readers unknowingly brushing against truth. He too traversed the realms, his expertise in survival adapting to mentor new echoes. Lost souls from various eras who arrived disoriented, from Victorian miners to modern-day climbers, teaching them the ways of the shimmering world, while gathering intelligence on potential threats, like encroaching shadows born from human pollution seeping through dimensional leaks. Alex Rivera, the base jumper whose camera had ignited it all, evolved from thrill-seeker to investigator, partnering with Emily and John in a loose alliance they dubbed the Cascade Watch. His viral fame funded gear for monitoring the sites, drones equipped with magnetic sensors, cameras tuned to infrared spectra that captured faint glows from rifts. Together, they documented subtle incursions, a deer with antlers that sparked in the night, berries that glowed unnaturally, whispers carried on winds that spoke in forgotten languages. Alex's videos shifted from adrenaline rushes to educational content, subtly weaving warnings about respecting nature's mysteries, his audience growing as he balanced spectacle with substance. One evening, during a joint expedition, they encountered a new rift near a cascading waterfall, its roar masking the hum of instability. Emily, crystal in hand, sensed a surge, and with John's guidance, they entered, finding the realm disrupted by a storm of fragmented memories, echoes of past vanishings manifesting as chaotic visions. They navigated through illusions of their own past, Emily reliving the initial fog, John facing his guilt anew, but their growth prevailed, sealing the breach with a ritual amplified by Alex's tech, broadcasting frequencies that harmonized the energies. This victory strengthened their resolve, but also attracted unwanted attention. Government agents, tipped off by online buzz, began subtle inquiries, drones of their own hovering over Diablo Lake, sparking paranoia. The trio countered with discretion, using the realm's knowledge to evade detection, Lyrian advising from the other side on cloaking spells that bent light around their activities. As years unfolded, Emily's research bore fruit, publishing papers on theoretical portals that garnered academic acclaim, her experiences informing hypotheses without revealing sources. She fell in love with a fellow student, a kind-hearted biologist named Mia, who shared her passion for the wild and slowly confided the truth, Mia's skepticism melting into wonder during a guided trip to the realm, where they picnicked under aurora skies, forging a new chapter of shared secrets. John, finding companionship in a retired ranger widow, built a cabin overlooking the lake, a sanctuary where realm artifacts, glowing stones, woven vines, blended with earthly comforts. Sarah, embracing her role as family anchor, wrote a blog on resilience, anonymized stories of loss and reunion inspiring readers worldwide. The Cascades, once a place of fear, became a symbol of wonder, their group intervening in minor vanishings, guiding lost hikers back before portals claimed them, whispers of guardian angels circulating in local lore. Yet, challenges persisted. A major convergence loomed, predicted by the echoes to be the strongest in centuries, potentially merging worlds if unchecked. Preparations intensified, Emily designing a hybrid device merging crystal tech with quantum stabilizers, tested in simulations that blurred realities. John scouted ancient petroglyph sites for clues, uncovering prophecies of bridge keepers like themselves. Alex rallied online allies, a network of trusted enthusiasts monitoring global anomalies, hinting at similar rifts worldwide, from the Andes to the Himalayas. As the event neared, tension built, the group gathering at the cliff under a stormy sky, the air electric with anticipation. The convergence arrived with a symphony of lights, the veil thinning to transparency, realms overlapping in a dazzling display. Shadows surged, but the team stood ready, Emily activating her device as John chanted ancient words, Alex's drones forming a perimeter. Echoes joined, their forms visible to all, a united front against chaos. Battles raged in merged landscapes, fighting entropy beasts with light beams and willpower, Emily's leadership shining as she directed flows of energy. Victory came at dawn, worlds separating gently, balance restored. In the aftermath, Emily and John chose to remain in the real world, portals stabilized for safe passage, their lives enriched by both. Emily married Mia in a mountain ceremony, John walking her down the aisle, Sarah beaming with pride. Alex documented it all, his final video a testament to adventure's true reward, connection. The Cascades endured, their secrets guarded by those who knew, a legacy of vanishings turned to tales of return, inspiring generations to explore with respect and wonder. And on quiet nights, Emily gazed at the stars, hearing the hum, knowing the door was always there, but home was here, with loved ones, in the beautiful, mysterious world they called their own.